talk a lot about team, and team's just trying to upset my microphone at the moment. But look, just briefly, to go over a little bit of history, a lot of people, this has been a debilitating exercise, this campaign. We all may not remember with the same clarity as those in my office on the 29th of January, when Julia Gillard, remember Julia Gillard? Announced the election date as September the 14th, and therefore we had to start campaigning, and we commenced at that time, trying to work out how were we going to pace ourselves over this very long period of time. We knew that they had done this strategically because they would have the advantage of being in government and being able to spend our money to run their campaign. But as time went along, people joined our effort, and this continued to grow. And through those long months leading up and the 3 years of work that we had done since being elected, that formed the basis on which we could campaign. It was one of the disputes that I often had with those in head office who said, don't do this and don't do that, just get out and sell. And I used to ask, what am I going to sell? And that's why we were so keen on the campaigns that we had cobbled together by having our finger on the pulse of our electorate, knowing what the problems were, and then getting together and working out what could we do to address those problems. Then we would have something to sell. And I've told this story 100 times about seeing kids in a playground being left off the playing field because they were of Chinese background and they weren't going to play rugby or they weren't going to play cricket. And then meeting with Hugh Lee, who's here today at a AAAB meeting, and saying, would it be a good idea to introduce table tennis into schools so that kids could engage across these cultural boundaries and make friends? And when somebody poo-poos that I put in table tennis tables, it just shows their lack of depth of understanding of what we were doing. We're standing in Bennelong. Bennelong's body lies not far from here. He was the first Aboriginal man to befriend the white settlers. This is the most culturally diverse electorate in Australia, and therefore it's incumbent upon us to actually do something to address problems like this. And that's what that was about. It was to get kids of different backgrounds engaging with each other long before any prejudices could form. It's a very important part of our growth as a multicultural society. We saw that there was business problems, small companies, small businesses in local areas. Taj is here today, and we engaged with those businesses. We sought to find out what could we do to help within the rules, within the laws. And we started Bennelong Village's business campaign that allowed us to door knock in the area, because people didn't want to hear us door knocking and saying, vote for us, we'll stop the boats. There was a pushback in February and March and April regarding that. But when we were saying, no, we're here promoting your local shops and explaining why it is important, why it's been so difficult for small business people to just survive because of difficult trading situations, because of unfair competition from Coles and Woolworths, for a myriad of reasons. And then we had a real engagement with the community. We've started a program called Bennelong Gardens, and again, it's a community activity to assist those who need our help. And we're really grateful for our chef today, who I met with last week, also known as the mayor. He's the only mayor I've ever known who's sort of been demoted. Because he likes to think he was the king and now he's just the mayor. The people's mayor. Yeah, that's called democracy. But and with Roy's help, we're raising money by asking people to donate $1,000 to put a Granny Smith apple tree and a plaque to indicate that, to raise money to commence commercial market gardening in our region for the benefit of people with disabilities. So they will actually own the business, they'll work in the business, and the business will pay them. We've got this support of Achieve, Nova Employment, Social Ventures Australia, Australian Native Landscapes, and we hope to be planting very shortly. So these were the things that we worked at to form a basis on which we could campaign. And as the time went on and more people joined us, and then in just some 6 or 7 weeks prior to the actual election day, more and more people came on strategically to add their weight to the effort that got this fantastic result. But I'd like to say that this is a team effort. The definition of a team is a group of individuals with a common goal. And we had a common goal, and we were that group of people that assembled. There's an old saying that a champion team beats a team of champions. There is no I in team. And so I am not going to thank anyone. I'm going to thank everyone, because it is your win. It is the win that is historic, because we have suffered from a historically bad government for the last 6 years. And then when Kevin had the audacity to come back, and the rest had appeared to do him good, because he could destabilise this country in a matter of weeks, whereas previously it took him about 6 or 7 months to do it, so the rest had done him good. But it was a stark reminder of exactly how not to run a country, to make announcements to get headlines and then scurry around and trying to put together policy. It's very interesting in contrast to see how Tony's going about his business when people say, well, when are you going back to sit? And the answer is, when the legislation is drafted. You don't go back to sit in Parliament unless you've got legislation to put forward. But it's not just legislation to put forward, it's legislation that has been well and truly worked through, that is worthy of a new government, a government that is going to engage with every sector of the community, with every business that's involved that's going to be impacted, with every group of people who are going to be impacted, so that there will not be surprises. There will not be this unstable situation that we've had that just robs families, small businesses and big business alike of confidence, the confidence that's needed to invest in our future. And so I think you can feel already a very different atmosphere in our country, a country now that will have adults running the place, that will have stability, that will restore our sovereign pride and replace what has become the allegation that we are a country of sovereign risk. And that has been so distressing for so many people who would have thought and deeply believed that Australia was the most loyal of allies and the most trustworthy of trading partners. And for us, time and again, on any number of fronts, to have the allegation that we were a country of sovereign risk was pretty hard to take. That is the real damage that this government has done, and that's the work that we have to do to restore that damage that's been done and make Australia again a trusted trading partner and a loyal ally. And that will be done under the Abbott government. So as I've said before, the only thing that any of us could do to change history and give us the government that this great country deserves is just to do our little bit. And so again, I don't thank anyone, I thank every single one of you, everyone who came to a train station in the morning, who came to shopping centres, who manned the polls, who captained the polls, polling booths, those who were in positions of organisation and corralled people, every single one of you for the contribution that you made. Today we celebrate that contribution. Thank you so much. It has been a great and uplifting experience to be just one person in this team. So I share that joy with you today. Thank you so much. If we have a by-election within the next year, saddle up and get ready, otherwise it's going to be in 3 years' time. But now we want to continue our good camaraderie that we've developed over the last several months And let's stay in touch. Please attend our FEC meetings. I'm going to get to as many branch meetings as I can so we can keep the good contact going, the good dialogue going, and so we've really got an ear to the ground so we can respond to our community and continue to do good work. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, 3 cheers for